going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And before, I apologize for not being able to start this on time, a few minutes late. But I did say quarter of, and it's basically 9, almost 10 o'clock right now. So I do apologize for that. My fucking computer had a heart attack, and I was trying to send files to my phone because I was also editing for Russ during this entire game, and I basically just finished the editing portion, and I was trying to send files to my phone so I can upload it to Instagram and all that crap. And the VPN that I used to transfer the files to my phone just wasn't working for some reason. I have no idea why. And it's just a bunch of malarkey. It's just a bunch of malarkey, crazy shit. And it was annoying me. It was giving me a headache. It was stressing me out. Just in the middle of a whole anxiety phase that I'm going through right now. Don't worry about it. My brain just goes in different directions. But, ugh. What didn't give me anxiety, though, today? Phillies. Get off that topic. Don't need to go stretching that far. So I apologize for my rant there. Fucking technologies for some reason just didn't feel like working. Um, Phillies though, offensively, just a fantastic day. Kyle Schwarber. It's in the caption. It's in the title of this stream. You got to extend Kyle Schwarber now. It's in the thumbnail as well. You got to extend this guy now. 2 home runs. He has 6 RBI on the day. Grand slam including. Oh my god. Oh my god. It was just pure magic and pure just everything watching Kyle Schwarber just completely dominate. Yeah, we also have Harrison Bader with a huge 3-run shot as well. And that entire explosion by the Phillies, that 8-run explosion in the 6th inning, doesn't happen if it's not for the review of the umpires in New York, because I believe it was a JT Realmuto. It was like it was an infield single, obviously. On the play, he looked like he beat it out. The umpire called it safe and everything like that. But when you're looking at the replay, JT kind of looked out, like by like not even like half an inch. He was out. Like you could definitely tell that there was a very close to being out there, and the call probably should have been overturned on the field. It should have been out. The inning should have been over for the Orioles. But no, JT ended up being safe, and then that basically spiraled into 8 unanswered runs. That's just baseball. That is clearly baseball, and for once, it didn't happen to the Phillies. The Phillies did the explosion. That's those 8 runs. Harrison Bader with that huge 3-run shot to give you that 6-3 lead, and then the runs just kept piling on. Weston Wilson eventually got an RBI single in there. Obviously, with the Kyle Schwarber grand slam after the bat that Trey Turner probably should have struck out because, the umpire behind the plate wasn't good either. So that also happened. So there was a bunch of things screwing over the Baltimore Orioles in tonight's game. So Turner worked the walk with 2 outs, and we'll also get to Trey Turner in a little bit because he has been pretty bad at the plate lately. And then Kyle Schwarber, once Baltimore goes to the bullpen for the second time in the inning, he crushes the grand slam. So it was just a great game overall. When Bryce Harper, he started off with a solo shot, and then, immediately Jesus Luzardo gives up the lead, a 2-run shot to Tyler O'Neill, and you're like, oh, God, we're going through this version of Jesus Luzardo again. And for the most part, his start stats end in quality start. 6 innings, 3 earned runs. He definitely settled down after allowing the 3 runs from Baltimore. He allowed 2 home runs in this game, but besides that, he was pretty good. So he put you in a position to win, and also thanks to the offense for completely exploding, thanks to the umpires being not good, being not good. That review completely screwed up the Baltimore Orioles. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. How one missed call on a review where he looked like JT was out, it turned into 8 runs. It's crazy. It is crazy. So we look at the pitching stats first. We'll get into the game, the play-by-play scoring-wise and all that stuff. Then we'll get to the lineup. Luzardo, 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs allowed. No walks, 7 strikeouts, 2 homers, 91 pitches, 64 strikes. He definitely was a lot better than previous starts in today's game. It's just the home runs that bother me. And of course, he coughed up the lead when Bryce Harper made it 1-0, blah blah blah, and all that. But he settled in. He was nice. That was basically it. Um, Tanner Banks, 1 inning, 1 strikeout. Seth Johnson finished out the game with 2 innings, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and then that basically was the game over at that point. But go to today's game. Bryce Harper, solo shot with 2 outs in the bottom of the first, crushed that ball. Phillies go up 1-0, but then Luzardo automatically gave up the lead. Rutschman with a leadoff double in the second. O'Neill hit a home run, made it 2-1. He got into a little bit more of a jam, got out of that. Phillies went down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the second inning. Then Westberg hit a solo shot that barely just scraped the wall. Became a 3-1 Orioles lead, and then Phillies took a little bit there. They definitely did, but no, actually, they didn't take a little bit. They responded actually right back in the bottom of the third with 2 outs. Edmundo Sosa would lead off single, and literally it was just one of those singles where he's throwing the bat on it, and it lands in center field. And then Kyle Schwarber with 2 outs absolutely murders a ball. This ball, and I believe they were talking at this point on the broadcast about Kyle possibly catching Ryan Howard's home run total. And then as they were talking about that, Kyle Schwarber hit it in the Ryan Howard territory. Like, my God, that ball was crushed. I thought that ball was going in the third deck. That's how hard Schwarber crushed that ball. It is crazy. He ties the game up, which is nice. Then Luzardo follows that up by a 1-2-3 inning. So, hey, you can get a fucking shutdown inning for once. Bottom of the fourth, nothing happens for the Phillies. 1-2-3 inning fifth for Luzardo. 1-2-3 inning fifth for the Phillies. 1-2-3 inning sixth for Luzardo in the top of the sixth. So he had 3 straight clean innings, basically. So that's good for him. He definitely did settle into the game. Then you go to that bottom of the sixth. Both Schwarber and Harper, they get out to start the inning. Then you get that infield quote-unquote single by JT where Baltimore did automatically challenge. Like, they instantly challenged it, and they still didn't get the call overturned, even though on the replay it looked like JT was out. So the Phillies caught a huge break. Then we'll go to the rest of the inning. Castellanos, 3-1 count, gets a single. Then you go to Harrison Bader, absolutely unloads on a ball. Becomes a 6-3 Phillies lead. That's Harrison Bader's first hit in a Phillies uniform. Definitely was a big one. It kind of looked like in Bader's previous at-bats, he was trying to do too much at the plate because he was trying to get that big pop. He was trying to get that, get the crowd into it, trying to, make his presence felt. Well, he definitely did it tonight, so maybe he can settle in now. The bomb. It was a definite bomb. Became 6-3 Phillies. Otto Kemp reached in on an infield single, even though it should have been an error because the first baseman botched the grounder, or botched the scoop, basically. Then Edmundo Sosa with a single. Weston Wilson with an RBI single. Trey Turner then walked where he should have struck out, but of course the umpire missed the strike call, and then eventually he walked and had a bat. Orioles went to the bullpen, and then Schwarber hit the grand slam to give the Phillies an 11-3 lead. So just insane stuff. Banks comes into the ball game. Edmundo Sosa and Weston Wilson go back-to-back in the bottom of the eighth with solo shots, made it 13-3. So it's just it's just an offensive explosion. And that's what makes the Phillies offense so frustrating because they're capable of exploding offensively. But tonight was fun. Tonight was fun. It definitely was. To the lineup. Trey Turner, he's 0 for 4. He's really struggling as of late. And Bob Wankel actually did post something on Trey Turner's stats, and we'll definitely get to those. Let me go to Bob Wankel here. I think he posted Trey Turner's like OPS since let me see, last 30 games. So yeah, since June 28th basically. So Trey Turner now has a 574 OPS over his last 30 games. He has 123 at bats over those 30 games. He has 6 doubles, 1 triple, no home runs. Yeah, he's just bad. I can't defend that with the bat. I can't. I'm a Trey Turner guy. I'm a Trey Turner defender. I can't defend that. I can't defend that. Now, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to go overheadly shit on Trey Turner saying that he sucks as a baseball player. I'm not going to defend that. He has to be way better than that. And he's proven that he can go on hot streaks this year with his bat, and I'm sure he'll find a way to get over this. But yes, you definitely need a billion times more if Trey Turner's going to be batting leadoff every day. You definitely need way more than that. You can't have 574 OPS from the leadoff spot. You need a guy that he needs to get on base. He needs to get singles. He needs to get doubles. He needs to do more. He needs to do way more. I'm not asking him to hit so many home runs. I'm asking you to get on base and be a speed threat. That's what I'm asking you to do. Can't be 574 OPS from the leadoff spot. It just cannot have that. Trey's got to be way better. Got to be way better. Got to be way better. Kyle Schwarber, flat out fantastic. He was 3 for 5 with 6 RBIs in the game with the 2 home runs. Eventually, then you start seeing new batters come into the ball game, pitch hitting and all that stuff. Bryce Harper, he went 1 for 4 with the solo shot. JT 1 for 3, even though technically he was out. Nick Castellanos went 1 for 3. Bader went 1 for 4 with a 3-run shot. Kemp went 1 for 3. Sosa went 3 for 4. Wilson went 2 for 4. Both of those guys had home runs. Phillies went 3 for 3 with runners in scoring position. So when they did have the runners in scoring position chances, they did capitalize on them. And basically, well, Wilson had the RBI single. Bader and Schwarber had the home runs with the runners in scoring position. So long ball definitely helped you out there today. It definitely did. So now your record after tonight's game, you're 64-48. And I think the Mets did end up losing. I think someone posted it in the chat that the Mets ended up losing to the Cleveland Guardians today because the Mets were trailing 5-0. Then they tied it up 5-5. Then I don't remember. Did Cleveland take the lead again? No, the Mets. No. Okay, so the Mets ended up tying the game 5-5. Goes to extra innings. Cleveland scores 2 in the 10th. Mets only score 1, and then the Cleveland Guardians end up winning. So that's what the scoreline looks like. So the Mets lose that game. And with the standings right now, you were a half game up on the Mets after tonight. Well, before going into tonight's game, and now with you winning and the Mets losing, it's a game and a half lead now on the Mets, which is actually pretty good. Pretty good. And the Marlins are normal. They lost the game. They're back under 500. They're a game under 500. I think they lost to the Astros today. I think that's who they were playing. Yeah, the Astros mollywopped them 8-2. So maybe that was what I know the Marlins have been playing good, and I know that I said they're a team to watch out for. But were the Marlins more of a byproduct of the Yankees being brutal, or the Marlins just being better? Which is probably kind of both. The Marlins have been playing a lot better baseball since June, but is that also more of a byproduct of the Yankees just being utter trash? You saw some of many of the mistakes the Yankees made that weekend. Like with the constant blowing of the leads from the bullpen, the Jazz Chisholm's just stupidity on the base paths, just everything. So really don't know what to take away from that, but you got the win today. That is the most important thing. It definitely is. And that basically just, I would say this entire game summarizes, you gotta fucking extend Kyle Schwarber. And Kyle Schwarber should also be in the MVP conversation at this point. I did see that they're starting to post some sports books, and Kyle Schwarber is now the second favorite odds to win the MVP. Of course, Shohei Ohtani is still a favorite, even though I think it was Scott Lauber. I think Scott Lauber, after today's game, or it was after Schwarber's Grand Slam, where he compared Ohtani's and Schwarber's numbers. So if we look at the numbers just in totality, Shohei Ohtani, he's batting .274 with a .379 on base and a .603 slug. OPS-wise, would that be in the 900s? Most likely, yeah, that would be in the 900s. That'd be like 982 OPS with 14 doubles, 7 triples, 38 home runs, 73 RBI, and 15 stolen bases. Kyle Schwarber, he has a .256 average, 380 on base, 592 slug, 17 doubles, 1 triple, 40 home runs, 90 RBI, and 10 stolen bases. The fact that he has 5 less stolen bases than Ohtani is kind of really funny. that is funny. I don't know why, but that's like the stat out of all these that I find funny. Like, how are you 5 stolen bases behind Shohei Ohtani? I just find that weird. That is weird. But yeah, this is just Kyle Schwarber should be like I know obviously will there be MVP fatigue with Shohei Ohtani? I think obviously Ohtani's numbers are good. Don't get me wrong, but it's I think what Ohtani's doing, he's on a stat. I know the Dodgers aren't. They're still in first place. They're still a good team. But Schwarber so far this year with his OPS, he's at a 957 OPS, 158 OPS plus. He is seriously, without Kyle Schwarber in this Phillies lineup, this offense, even though how much we hate this offense, the Phillies are nowhere close to what they are without Kyle Schwarber in the lineup. That is just bottom line, in my personal opinion. And if Kyle Schwarber continues to go off like he's been going off all year in this last back half of the season, and say he does eclipse 50-plus home runs, and he gets to that Ryan Howard, franchise record for home runs in a single season with 58, and he eclipses maybe 60, those should be MVP-worthy numbers, in my personal opinion. I understand Shohei Ohtani is Shohei Ohtani, but I know Kyle Schwarber's also a DH. That argument really doesn't fall flat right there. I know there's just gonna be so much bias towards Ohtani. I just think that's what I'm afraid of. There's just gonna be so much bias towards him. That's my fear. That's my fear. There's already so much bias towards Ohtani with the MVP voting for the past so many years. And yes, I understand when he eventually pitches and he starts pitching consistently and he bats the way that he does, it's kind of hard not to vote him for MVP and not have him as the MVP favorite. But I think what Schwarber is doing for this Phillies offense is way more crucial than what Ohtani does on a stacked Dodgers team. Just in my personal opinion. Because, like I said, without Schwarber, this Phillies offense is probably the worst in the league. Probably the worst in the league. And I feel like that would be a fact. So, Kyle Schwarber, you continue this. He has 40 home runs on the season now. Basically, at this point, he's got 40 home runs at the... How many games have they played, Sal? How many games have they played? 64 plus 48. Math in my head. I can't do the math in my head. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. Math in my head. 64 plus 48, 112. They played 112 games so far. He has 40 home runs. So let's see, how much is that on pace? 40 divided 112. How many games would he be on pace to have home runs? He's on pace to have like 57 home runs. 57, 58. He would like just to get the Howard's record. And granted, we know Schwarber, when he hits home runs, he hits them in major bunches. And he has been hitting a lot of home runs lately. So he can go on a huge stretch this month of August and hit 10 plus home runs. And he could be at 50 home runs by the time it's September. Kyle Schwarber, it's August 4th, he has 40 home runs. And I don't think that leads Major League Baseball. I don't think it does. I think Cal Raleigh still has that stat. If I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong, though. It could be Schwarber. Let's see, home run. Yeah, it's still Cal Raleigh. Still Cal Raleigh. He has 42. Schwarber has 40. And Cal Raleigh is definitely probably going to win the American League MVP, especially with how long Judge might be out for. So maybe that puts Cal Raleigh in the front runner for the MVP of the American League. But I personally do think Schwarber. I think Schwarber should be an MVP favorite, at least. And if he keeps this going, he probably should win it. Personally, I know that you could say it's Phillies bias and all that stuff. Schwarber, what he is doing is, in my personal opinion, this year has been way more impactful than Shohei. Just in my personal opinion, I think it is. He's already almost at 100 RBIs. He leads. Doesn't he lead Major League Baseball in RBI? I think he does. He leads all of Major League Baseball in RBI. He's got 94. Next closest person is Pete Alonso at 90. So, Kyle Schwarber is definitely doing it all. He is doing it all. He deserves to be an MVP candidate, and he probably does deserve to win MVP for the National League. So that's something to monitor. It definitely is. So, it's exciting stuff. But now we look at the rest of this series. Phillies have a chance to win 3 games in a row for the first time in a little bit. So hopefully they do. But tomorrow's game, it's Taiwan Welker versus Dean Kremer. And Dean Kremer, he's 8-7 with a 4.27 ERA, 1.27 WHIP. Blah 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 blah. In his last start, 5 innings, 3 earned against the Blue Jays. 6 innings, 5 earned against the Rockies. 7 innings, 1 earned against Tampa Bay. 7 innings shutout against Miami. 4 1/3, 5 allowed against the Braves. He's got a 4.27 ERA, like I said. In the month of July, he had a 4.3 ERA. In the month of June, he had a 3.3. In the month of May, he had a 2.72. April, he was absolute dog shit, a 6.75. So we'll see where it goes. Then on Wednesday afternoon, I believe Ranger Suarez is pitching against Rogers. Rogers, what's his name? Trevor Rogers. I was going to say Tyler Rogers, but no, that's a bullpen arm. That's the guy that the Mets traded for, Trevor Rogers, who's actually been pretty good for Baltimore this year in his limited starts. But got to try to win the series tomorrow. Offense, even though it would be pure Phillies to have a quiet offensive night tomorrow, that would be pure Phillies. But try to take advantage of this. The Mets, since winning 7 straight, they've been slumping a little bit. They lost that series to San Francisco, and they lost this opening game to Cleveland. So, got to take advantage of it when you can. You really need to. And in terms of the wild card standings, just to see where that second wild card spot is, right now the Mets are a half game up on that second wild card spot. So the more they keep losing, the more San Diego keeps winning. San Diego might take over that second wild card spot. So winning the division this year is going to be very crucial for this Phillies team, for the Phillies and the Mets. It's going to be very crucial. You got to try to win the division, because if you drop to the third wild card spot, that means you'll be 4 games out. On that 4 games out, you'll be 4 games ahead of the next teams looking in. Cincinnati's 4 games out. St. Louis is 6.5. San Fran's 6.5. Marlins are 6.5. So it's definitely something to monitor. You don't want to be in that last wild card spot. You definitely do not want to be. You definitely want to try to aim for the division. You need to at this point. So yeah, what is the Marlins schedule looking like too? Just in terms of the teams that they're playing. Obviously, right now they're playing Houston. Let's see. They did win a series against Milwaukee recently, so that's interesting. So they started off the second half. They have won every series so far. They've won every series to start the second half. They won 3 games, 2 of 3 against Kansas City, 2 of 3 against San Diego, 2 of 3 against Milwaukee, 2 of 3 against St. Louis. They swept the Yankees, and so far they've lost this first game to Houston. But if we look at the rest of their schedule, they got 2 more games against Houston. They have a 5-game series against Atlanta, which one of those is a doubleheader. They have 3 games in Cleveland, 3 games in Boston, 3 games against St. Louis, 3 games against Toronto, Atlanta, Mets for 4 games, Nationals, Phillies, Nationals, Detroit, Colorado, Texas, Phillies, Mets. So that is a tough stretch for them at the end of the season. They play the Phillies and the Mets at the same time. We'll just see. Like I said, it is something to monitor. It is something pretty much to monitor there. So, gotta see. We do not have any voicemails here, so we'll get to a text message from Steven saying, Kyle Schwarber is the GOAT. Pay the damn man in Middleton. Luzardo settled in after his shaky first few innings. Bader coming through was nice to see. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. What else is there? Anything from tonight? I'm trying not to refresh Twitter as much just because I haven't watched Raw yet, so I really don't want to spoil myself, even though I kind of know what to expect. Yeah, I'll probably get to you guys in the chat here then. I'll get to you guys in the chat here then, and we're gonna end it off so I could go finish the work that I was doing during the game, what I've been trying to finish. So actually works out pretty well. And I don't know when Brodes is going to do his, because I think he was at a men's league game today. So I'm not sure if he's doing a pod later tonight or he's just going to do it in the morning like he did today. So we'll see. Owen, do you think Harrison Bader should play every day? Yes. Yes, I do. There's no reason not to. Also, I just realized there is a mutual option for his contract next year. Yeah, there is a mutual option. Most of those times the mutual options aren't taken, but I wonder if the Phillies do that. You never know. Master Bader and MVP Schwarber. Even T-Mac and Kruk were saying JT was out on that play. Yeah, JT was out. That was a complete, just bad review by the umps in New York. Sosa, Harper, and Wilson with home runs. It was an all-around home run derby. Yes. Kyle Schwarber should be the MVP. Sorry, but Trey Turner just gets under my skin. If he's worth $300 million, Kyle Schwarber is worth infinity. Middleton, you better not let him go. Let's hope so. Shohei Ohtani at minus 750 for MVP is nuts. Kyle Schwarber will win if this keeps up. Let's hope so. Let's hope it. If Woodrow Wilson hits home runs, they are going good. So 2 runs tomorrow. Probably. That is pure Phillies if that's the case. Funny to see Kyle have better stats than Ohtani, who people glaze into oblivion. Not gonna lie, once you are done to watch the Becky Lynch promo, it's insane. Becky Lynch new entrance, other garbage. Yeah, I think some people are not a fan of her new intro. Kyle Schwarber is a 6-1 odds now, and fuck Ohtani. Kyle Schwarber is the Phillies. If the Phillies didn't have him, they would be 10 games out. Yeah, probably. Kyle is doing ungodly things to baseball and putting the team's offense on his back. Yeah, he's doing everything possible. Yep, Schwarber is the NL home run leader. 2 runs behind Cal Raleigh for MLB. Bader has more home runs at Citizens Bank Park this year than Trey Turner. Yeah, the power-wise, Trey Turner is just not there. I think the person who really tried to change their approach a lot was Trey. He's trying to focus more on being an on-base guy. And for the most part this season, this is like the first time this year he has struggled badly as he has at the plate. And he's swinging at the first pitch a lot, grounding out, popping up, and all that stuff. I think he's getting into his own head of the plate. I think he'll get out of it, but he definitely needs way more. Definitely 100%. So yeah, that'll probably do it for today. Yeah, the Phillies have not won 3 straight since June. And I think that's going back to when they won the series against the Mets. I think you're right there, Julian. I think they haven't won a series since then. So let me look at the record there before we go to end this off. So if we go through all of July, yeah, they haven't won 3 in a row in all of July, which is crazy. So when did they play the Mets? When did they play the Mets? Yeah, the last time they won 3 in a row was June 18th through June 20th. That was 2 wins against Miami and the first win against the Mets. That was the last time this team won 3 games in a row. So, better late than never. Better late than never. You're basically going an entire month and a half without winning 3 games in a row. That is insane. Imagine if they did just have stretches of 3, 4 wins in a row during those stretches, like during like July and all that crap. Imagine how many games they would probably have in the division. Just think about that, especially during that time when the Mets were struggling. Just think about that. Really, you just got to think about that. So, that'll do it for today, everybody. I appreciate you all for joining as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. So, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Got to go finish some work.